Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome to BattleTech. This is not a new game, not at all. It's actually been around for almost exactly 5 years at this point. This is a turn-based tactical strategy game with giant mechs, and it's actually based off of a 1984 board game also called BattleTech. If you haven't heard of this game, then maybe you've heard of some of their spin-off products like MechWarrior or Mech Assault. But Pravus, why are you only playing this game now when it's been around for 5 years? Couple of reasons, okay? First off, the topic of BattleTech came up in the fan Discord, and I was shocked how many people didn't know what I was talking about. It's just like, what? Okay, you know what? We're doing a video. Secondly, the developers for this game, Harebrained Schemes, are coming out with another turn-based tactical game very soon called the Lamplighters League. So it makes sense to jump into their prior portfolio, especially because I think BattleTech is an underrated gem. But of course, you didn't click on this video to listen to me ramble. Let's jump into my most recent save game. Welcome to my ship and my mercenary band of MechWarriors. This is a game that is set far in humanity's future, after we've colonized the stars and we had one grand utopian star empire that eventually became decadent and fell apart, and now there are numerous human factions that are battling for control, using these enormous fusion-powered mechs. And I will say, I know that mechs are a genre that is kind of overplayed in some ways in pop culture, and let's be honest, sometimes is kind of cringe. But I do think that BattleTech is one of the few franchises that actually makes mechs pretty dang cool. Anyway, as I said, we are mercenaries, and the entire point of the game is that we will be traveling from place to place looking for contracts, where we will be soldiers for hire to accomplish some specific job. Examples of these contracts might include some bounty hunting, or defending a base, or escorting a vulnerable target, and they have various different difficulties and payouts associated with them. The goal, of course, get enough money to keep paying our crew, keep flying, and ideally also salvage some extra mech parts or some weapons so we can customize our lance, that is to say our battle group, and make them a heck of a lot stronger to take on bigger, tougher contracts. To give you an example how this works, let's go ahead and choose this first mission, the Forward Observers. This is going to be a battle in a tundra map, not obscenely difficult, but not a pushover either. And I'm going to assign 4 different mechs into this group. We have a Centurion, 2 Shadowhawks, and a Vindicator. These aren't exactly flashy mechs, there's some pretty basic medium-sized mechs. There are much more powerful ones out there, but this is what I've got access to at this stage of my campaign. So let's deploy! And in we come for a landing. We've got solid intel that the enemy lance is in the region. A lance, of course, again, being a battle group of mechs. Sweep the area, find them, and clear them out. Aye, aye, sir. All right, so zooming in a bit, we can get a good look at our mechs. These guys are my pride and joy. The point of the game, of course, is to move your characters and their respective mechs across the battlefield, find your enemy, find a good tactical position, roll the dice as you do some damage to them, and hopefully win a battle. I think these guys are up on this ridge over this direction. I don't love the idea of being down in a ravine with them shooting down on me. So I'm probably going to try going around this way and approaching a slighter slope in the hill. The enemy had a turn, but we haven't contacted them yet, so there's really not much to do. Let's sprint forward a little bit more up toward this tree line. All right, enemy contact. So we know they have a mech over here. Haven't gotten close enough to see what it is, but it's certainly there. Something I should probably do then, get into the tree line so that I am relatively defended. Okay, so what are they going to do? It is a Locust. All right, this is a very small light mech. Not really that threatening, but it can harass me in a few different ways. So if we can crush that thing quickly, I'll happily do that. It's also the only target I know of right now, so it's the only person worth shooting. Let's take this Shadowhawk. I'm going to move you forward a little bit. We're going to rotate it around to make sure that it's facing the enemy, and positioning and facing certain directions definitely matters. Get right up over here, then we're going to target this guy. Now, you can see, with these little arrows right here, these represent something called evasion. The more you move your mech around in a turn, the more evasive it's going to be, the harder it is to hit. And in the bottom right, you can see that my hit chance is actually kind of low on this guy. The odds of us missing are very high. The more you shoot at it, the more you naturally start burning away some of this evasiveness, or we could say, you know what, I'm going to miss all my shots anyway. I'd rather go ahead and put on a sensor lock, burn down 2 evasionness on this guy. Okay, like so. And that way I set up my other 3 team members for success. And by the way, there's another mech up over here. All right, that guy's going to be coming after me pretty soon. Going to move this Vindicator forward into the tree line over here. Trees are always good for a defensive bonus. Pretty decent chance of hitting, 55% chance on 2 of my weapons. Not so much on my missiles, but we'll give this a go. In fact, I'm going to turn off my missiles. At such a short range, long-range missiles don't do you a lot of good. Pew pew, all right, and we did a little damage. We exposed their structure by damaging some of its armor. Perfect. Oh, and here comes a third target, all right. Took some shots at me. No idea what's up here, but that's fine. There are a few different kinds of weapons in the game, but they mostly come down to a few different categories. So, for example, we're going to have kinetic weapons, which are basically just giant slugs, think tank shells, and you're not that far off, very high caliber rounds. We're going to have lasers or other energy weapons, which build up heat for your mechs, and that can become a danger at some point. Or you're going to have missiles, which come in either long range or short range. That's the gist of it. You can also get close to your targets and melee them, which is actually pretty nice in that it completely ignores their evasion, so that can be helpful if you have a high evasive target. Also, does a surprising amount of damage. Let's show you how that's going to work. I'm going to move forward, and we're going to get up close, and whammo! All right, we actually just knocked off pieces of the enemy mech. The right torso and the right arm have been destroyed. You do have hard points. Ooh, hello. A Kintaro. That's actually a pretty good mech. Ooh, that's scary. You can knock off hard points of enemy mechs, and that does reduce their firing power because let's say they got a big gun strapped to their right arm. Knock off that right arm. Well, what is that thing going to do, right? So that's something you can consider. I'm going to move into a position where I can take a shot at this guy. I do want to hit that Kintaro really hard, though. But let's see if we can take out this target. What is my chance of hitting? Pretty high, 75% chance on most of this. Let's give it a go. Pew. All right, do some serious damage. All right, not quite enough to... Oh, actually, take it back. We destroyed its center torso. All right, that was enough to actually destroy the mech. Light mechs, very, very weak. I've got mostly medium mechs. There are heavy and assault mechs in the game as well, and obviously the bigger they are, the more tonnage they've got, the more damage they can do. So you want to usually get very big, scary mechs. Sometimes there are missions where you're going to want to have some mobility, and that's where having lighter or medium mechs can be helpful, but I'd say 9 times out of 10, big, scary assault mechs, the way to go. Anyway, I want to start burning down this Kintaro. He does have a bit of evasion to him, but not an absolute ton. Might be worth trying to get up into the tree line over here. We'll get some evasiveness for doing this. It's still a clean shot. Pew, pew, pew. All right. Trying to burn through its armor as quick as we can. That was not enough. All right. But the more we burn down its armor and expose the structure, the more chances that we're going to be doing some very serious damage to that thing. That's my goal right now. Taking a little bit of missile damage, but they're too far away to do a lot. They're kind of hanging back right now, which is unexpected and very interesting, but I'm not opposed to that. Let's try to move a little bit closer up over here. Still want to have a good line of sight on this guy. And I'm going to use my long-range missiles this time because it actually does make sense. Pew. All right. We missed with most of my shot. Well, that sucks. We had a really good chance to hit there, too. A Wolverine. Oh, good. Another big medium mech. All right. They're bringing in some good boys here. Now, that's actually fine. It's scary to fight big, scary mechs. But if we can destroy them, we can salvage pieces of their mech. Get enough salvage, you can rebuild this. So fighting a lot of big, scary, heavy, or assault mechs might cause some damage, but if you win the fight, you're that much closer to building up your own heavy and assault mechs, which means you can take on much bigger, much tougher targets. I'm going to go ahead and move forward a little bit, not in the tree line, but I have some evasiveness. Very high chance to hit on this guy. Let's try it. We can actually take a look at this and see that on the left leg and left torso, it lost a fair bit of armor, so we might be able to burn through that pretty quick if we're lucky. But, you know, it does take a bit of luck, right? All right, we did expose the structure, so something lost all of its armor. That's good. Now it's moving forward, and it's going to do a whole load of damage. They've got tons and tons of short-range missiles. Right, okay. This guy can do some damage. Notice the red bar that was underneath this guy, though. You see that? That is heat. And as you fire big energy weapons, you build that up. If they get over that little reticule over there, this is little baseline, it starts to overheat and does a lot of internal structural damage. So next round, this guy's probably not going to fire off a lot of missiles. It's probably going to give its mech a chance to cool down. That could give me a slight advantage, or at least some breathing room, maybe. Let's go ahead and move forward with this Centurion class over here, and do I want to try for a precision strike? Kind of. Let's try for precision strike on this guy. This increases my own accuracy, but we can then choose what hardpoint we want to try to shoot with a called shot. 40% chance of hitting the right arm, and this thing's weak right now. If we can knock off the right arm, that's less weapons that we're going to be facing off against, so this thing's weaker going forward. Pew pew. Okay, and did a bit of damage. We did knock it off. Perfect. All right. Let's see, we could move forward a little bit. Now, as you're moving your mechs around, you can see we have a very short range right now, and part of that's based on the terrain. We could choose not to attack, and instead sprint, which lets us move a lot faster, a lot further, and get a lot more evasiveness. That can be useful if you need to redeploy quickly. Alternatively, we could also do a quick jump, like let's say right up over here, and turn around and face this. Could do that. Or you can even jump on the enemy mech and try to do a lot of damage that way, though usually your legs take a lot of damage, so it's often not worth doing that unless you want to do a Hail Mary. I say that. Some mech builds specifically are very good at that, but alright. Let's move over this direction. These guys are getting in the range of these missile boats over here. It's taking too much damage. Another precision strike, we could try to target the center torso. Knock this out, and the whole mech comes crumbling down. We're shooting mostly from the front, so we got a good chance of this working. Let's try for it. Pew! No. Okay. Didn't quite work. Impaired its sensors, did a lot of damage. We weren't quite able to take out that center torso I was hoping for. Obviously, taking out an enemy mech from the picture is obviously very helpful because it means you outnumber them, you've got more movement, you can outmaneuver them. That's all very, very important. All right, let's try this one more time. Pew! Okay, we destroyed its leg, and there goes the center torso. This mech is down for the count. Now we can focus our fire on the Wolverine, and whatever else is hiding in this background. I still have no idea what that thing is. Oh, it moved forward. It's a javelin. Ah, so this thing has a lot of missiles on it. Right. Okay, that can get very, very annoying because missiles can make your mechs unsteady and cause them to fall over sometimes. Moving forward a little bit more. Very likely to hit here. That's great. We can probably take out its right arm. We're lucky. Yeah, come on, tell me. Yeah, there we go. All right, and we made a lot of its ammo explode. Fantastic. So this thing has a lot less to work with. That's a good spot to be in. We like that. I'm going to try to hit this guy again with my Centurion. You can see it's taking a lot of damage on the right-hand side. And we might be able to actually take out one of its legs. Oh, no. Instead, we actually burned all the way to the center torso. The pilot has been killed, and that mech goes down. All right, we've destroyed the enemy scout lance. Now we just need to deal with whatever reinforcements they send after us. And I only know of this javelin. I think there might be one more, but we can focus fire on this guy. Let's try to take up the high ground. Oh, there's two more mechs down here. All right, I bet you these guys have long-range missiles, and that's why they're sticking back. This guy's probably acting like a forward scout, so that's how they have good vision on me. Yikes. Okay. Well, let's see how quickly we can burn down a javelin. With any luck, very quickly. Already burned through its armor. It's unsteady. A few more missiles, and you actually might be able to get that guy to topple over. When an enemy topples over, you get a really good chance of hitting them. You can even walk right up to them and try to stomp them and kill the pilot outright if you are lucky. But it means you get a called shot every single time. Actually, its torso's really close to death already. I'm going to use a precision strike here. We're going to try to take this out. Only a 9% chance to hit. Not great. But let's see if we can get lucky here. Pew? No, not quite. However, it's, again, really close to falling over. So this shot probably will do it. Okay, took out an arm in the tank there. There we go. Torso's been damaged. All right, we've got all the way up to its maximum unsteadiness. This thing's now going to get knocked down. They'll probably have a chance to stand back up before I can really take advantage of this, but if we kept shooting at it, we'd get a called shot every single time. Whoa! That's a Thunderbolt. That's a big heavy mech. Oh, I thought they were going to be weak little missile boats. Okay. This scares me a bit more, but you know what? It's a really good opportunity to get some salvage. And actually, this mech has not gotten up yet, so let's go ahead and call a shot on its center torso. 70% chance of success. Pew, and there we go. We did, in fact, destroy the torso. That's one more mech down for the count. Right, we have to focus on the Thunderbolt now. Let's try to move forward into a decent position. Maybe I can finally see what that other mech is down here. It is a Shadowhawk, like the other two that I have. All right, so these are scary, but not that big of a deal. But a big, honkin' heavy Thunderbolt. Yeah. This guy needs to go. He's got a little bit of evasiveness, but I've got pretty darn good chances to hit still. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep shooting through his evasion. And we actually did manage to destroy some ammo for one of his big guns. So maybe that means he's going to have less shots to use against us. That's good. Okay, it's backing off because it likes long-range missiles, so it doesn't want to stay too close to me. I'm taking a fair bit of damage on this Shadowhawk. We got to be careful. We're going to start losing some components. You can repair after battles if you survive the battle, that is to say. But losing components obviously is expensive, and we'd really rather not do that if we can avoid it. Yeah, I need to move Glitch back a little bit. She's just taking way too much damage. If this were a missile bolt, I'd probably be able to still rain some death on these guys, but no. We're going to go ahead and pull back just a little bit, try to let someone else draw the attention, and she can just sit tight and guard for a second. Or even better yet, let's use a sensor lock to try and burn down this person's evasion, so at least we still get some value out of this turn. All right, we have one more shot before they have a chance at moving. So let's take advantage of that. Decker, I'm going to have you get up to the high ground, because it's over if we can do that. and get one really good shot over here. Pew pew. All right, destroyed the right arm. Beautiful.
All weapons are full.
Oop, I think we destroyed something. Yeah, all right, we took out the ammo. The big rockets exploded on this mech and immediately took it down. That's like a critical hit right there. Absolutely beautiful. All right, let's get in position. We could melee this guy, but I don't think we'll do as much damage as if we could just get in a good position and just unleash everything I've got in one big alpha strike. Well, I say that, and then we immediately whiff. What do you know? Boom. Ah, never mind. There goes this right arm. All right, this Shadowhawk's basically dead. Now, come on. This guy's got practically nothing left on him. All right, precision strike. We could try to shoot the head and see if we can just snipe the pilot out, but I think no matter what, as long as we hit, he's going down. Pew. All right, and that took him out. Excellent. All right, we should have just won the first contract you've seen in BattleTech. Well done, Commander. That should slow down the local pirate organization offensive. Thank you very much. Every mission is like that to some extent, but again, they might have different objectives. So, for example, again, you might need to escort a target, and it's constantly moving, and you have to be very mobile and keep up with them while also fighting off a whole bunch of different foes, right? Or you might have to assassinate a particular target who's running away while also trying to dodge all of its guards. These kind of things can happen, and it makes this game pretty unique and everything a little bit challenging, especially since you never know what enemies you're going to face up against. Anyway, here's a quick little evaluation. We did take some damage on the Shadowhawk, so I definitely need to do a little bit of repairs before we go on our next mission. We can salvage. All right, so I'm going to take a piece of this Kintaro. I'm going to take a big piece of this Thunderbolt, and I'm going to take a piece of the Wolverine. Get up to 3 components, and you rebuild a mech. Now let's go back to our mech bay over here. Let's make so we go to that Shadowhawk and we retrofit this. Again, if any parts of it fell apart, we'd have to spend a lot more money and a lot more time and also re-equip it with some different weapons, but a little bit of damage, not that big a deal. We can go ahead and get that sucker repaired. You can also gain experience with your MechWarriors and upgrade them in 4 different stats: gunnery, piloting, guts, and tactics. Basically has to do with damage, how fast they move, how much melee damage they can do, how much damage they can withstand, and do they have the ability to do some close-range fire against your enemies, all of which are very important. And at this point, we would try to move on to another contract, collect a big payday, and keep upgrading our lance to take on bigger targets. There is a campaign mode for BattleTech, and it's actually got a pretty darn good story to it. Also, these priority missions, while they're often quite tough, do tend to pay off very, very, very well. But rather than move on to all that, I'm actually going to do something different. I'm going to jump into a saved game that I've had from one of my original campaigns that I played in BattleTech back during its release. Because I want to show you what can happen when you get some of the really big boy mechs. Because I've got myself an Atlas. This is the king of the battlefield. The biggest and the baddest of the boys. Really hard to get. But I did a lot of missions to get to the black market so that I could buy all the parts I would need to rebuild this bad boy. And oh boy, does he pack a punch and a half. So I'm going to take on a mission where I have to attack and then defend a location, again in the tundra, a little bit more difficult than what you just saw. Yeah, look how big and scary this behemoth is compared to everything else we've got. Alright, this is actually a really complicated mission because we have to defend a base against some enemies, but they have mechs on their way. We need to intercept those, and then we also need to destroy their base, alright? And then retreat back to a landing zone so we can get the heck out of here. Yeah, this one's going to be complicated. So, case in point, the enemy has brought in a Shadowhawk of their own, alright? You've seen these. We already took down one of these suckers. I'm going to get my Atlas into position up over here, alright? And this guy is going to get absolutely wrecked in a second. Boom, boom, boom! Holy crud, we already knocked off an arm. Alright, 2 really big shots. And this thing not only has huge guns, but also has a stupid amount of armor. Atlas is so stinking good. You can build entire lances of Atlases if you're unbelievably rich. I mean, you're not very, evasive. You move really slowly, but holy crud does it hit hard. Let's go ahead and use this Atlas and try to hit this Wolverine really hard. Big honkin' AC-20 guns. Massive caliber. Boom, boom! Yep, alright, that'll hit pretty hard. Whoa, this thing's almost already knocked down just from that. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if this Atlas can take out a light mech in practically one shot. Let's see if we can do a precision strike on, how about this Javelin right here. You can aim for the head if you want. I don't know if it matters that much. Pew, pew. Oh, there it goes! What'd I tell ya? The Atlas isn't the only really good mech out there, though. Of course, there are quite a few others. Again, usually the bigger they are, the better they're going to end up being. But this, for example, is a Jaeger mech, a heavy mech that I've kind of strapped with a lot of really good long-range missiles. If I want to take out this Centurion, for example, let's just go ahead and launch everything I got. Full salvo. Boom, boom, bada, bada, boom. And he's down. And looks like we were able to eliminate all targets. All right, didn't show obviously that whole battle, but you get an idea how that all works. Big, strong mechs are so fun. And if you're really dedicated, what you can do is design a lance of mech warriors with lots of different dedicated roles. For example, you want to have your big, heavy bruisers like your Atlases in the front, and then maybe someone in a lighter scout mech trying to scan the area and find some targets, use some sensor locks, and then follow that up with somebody who's got lots of long-range missiles like my Jaeger mech and try to knock down all the enemies so the Atlases can clean them up, right? Lots of cool things that you can do depending on what kind of mission you're going into and what you need to accomplish. Oh wow, out of this, not only do I have enough parts to finish building a Centurion, but we actually can take all 3 parts of the Wolverine. We can build 2 mechs out of this. That's worth so much money if I want to sell those things. Dang, dude. Ah, my beautiful Atlas. Let's go ahead and get you repaired. Barely took a scratch. God, I love this thing. Before we end this video, the last thing I want to show you guys is that you can customize and refit each of these mechs that you do build. So if I open up the Jaeger mech, for example, you can see my exact weapon loadout. There's a couple things to keep in mind. You have a certain limit in terms of tonnage, right? And this is where the bigger mechs have a lot more stuff you can put on them, and that's one of their big advantages. And then secondly, every mech chassis has certain hard points built into them. So certain mechs can have no lasers, others are really only good for missiles, etc. So they each have their own natural uses, but within those different boundaries, you can kind of mess with this however you want. And the result is you can have some pretty dang powerful and unique and interesting mechs, depending on your playstyle and what you think you need to balance out your lance. Anyway, guys, that is a quick look at BattleTech. For a 5-year-old game, it's still a heck of a lot of fun. There's something about getting into these randomized missions, never really knowing what you're facing up against, and then trying to eke out a victory. And sometimes it's quite difficult. I've had fights where I ended up barely winning by the skin of my teeth, relying on 2 critical hits in order to survive. Otherwise, I might have lost my entire group. So it can definitely be a very fun and challenging game. And then just the fact that you get to salvage your enemies and build bigger, better, scarier mechs. Oh man, it presses all the right dopamine buttons for me. I have a lot of fun with this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and now you'll never be able to say you haven't heard of BattleTech again. I won't stand for it. Be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.